Welcome. Thanks for joining us on this wonderful end of October afternoon. We are joined here today with my guest, Amber Peoples, and we're going to just take a couple of moments because I know it takes some time for people to come in. So let's just give them a moment, and as we do, I'll just tell you a little bit about Amber, and then we'll get started. So Amber Peoples is the founder of um, oh, and it's just gone out of my head. Amber, what is the name of your company? It's Curiosity.
Amplify curiosity.
Amplify Curiosity. I knew it was curiosity and I knew there was another word in there. So, Amber is the founder of Amplify Curiosity. Now, she started this company after very successful careers in education and event management. And she made the decision about 3 years ago to enter the world of direct response marketing, something that she and I have in common because that was the very, very early origins of my career in not-for-profit and direct response advertising. But she did this with a mission, and that mission was to learn how to reach people with calls to action so that we can fly further and faster together. So that's an interesting comment. I'm going to come back to that. In Amber's Earth relationship business, her goal is to share technologies of belonging and connection. And again, another thing that we have in common. Her marketing and business includes her marketing business includes the same passion. As a result, Amber has focused on increasing leverage for impact-driven offer owners. Today, her goal is to impact you with strategy for more high-ticket sales. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And this is a little different from many of the lives that we've done over the last little while, because this one is really much more focused on looking at the way in which you can leverage and monetize the very thought leadership that you're taking out into the world. Often as leaders, we talk a lot about impact, and impact, I know for me, is incredibly important. But what I also know to be true is if we focus only on impact and not on the income that impact can generate, we'll actually limit our ability to create that very impact. So income is important. And Amber is an expert in the area of high ticket sales and turning our lists into leads, which is really important. So I thought we could maybe start with funnel marketing because many of us are familiar with funnel marketing. And Amber, you and I have had a couple of conversations. And one of the things that we sort of started talking about is that we wanted to look at mid funnel. I know most people are either focused on top of funnel, how do we get more people onto our lists, or bottom of funnel, how do we make sure that those people are moving through that funnel quickly and we're getting more customers? But what happens often, and I know, as a marketer, that for when especially when I was in the advertising world, one of the hardest parts of funnel marketing was that mid funnel congestion. We would have, lists, and we would think they were leads, but they would get stuck there, and we weren't really quite sure how to diagnose, fix, and get that funnel working again. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. What do we do mid funnel, and how do we address that?
Yeah, thank you so much, Andrea. It's a delight to be here. Hello to everyone out there. I'm honored to be here and be able to chat with you. And what we're going to focus on in this question is really 5 I's. In marketing, we often talk about a phrase, "What's in it for me?" And we often write it actually as an acronym, WIIFM. And notice that eyes are consistent around there. And so in marketing, we really have to think about that person on the other side. And so in these 5 I's, it is a process of how to engage them through the journey of the sale. And oftentimes it was actually interesting. I was talking with somebody just the other day, and within marketing, we often talk about campaigns, and those are so important. because there are ways to create procedures and standardization to what you do that really helps bring people that are ready for you. But some people need a little help to be ready for you and to be able to work with you. There's internal obstacles there's external obstacles. And so these 5 I's take us through that process.
And those five eyes, what are they?
Yeah, let's dive right in. So, the very first one is invitation. And this is probably the biggest difference from what you've heard before, because often we're talking about like, how do we write that perfect call to action? How do we write that perfect sequence? How do we have that perfect sales call? And really, with this system that I use, it's really you start with the invitation. It's kind of like,
Mm.
rather than starting with come buy my thing, it's hey, come show up at my
Yeah.
barbecue.
Right. So this is where we're really starting to invite people in. That's kind of what we're doing. And I know you and I talk about this, and I call it, I used to always talk about it as hand raisers. These are people who are putting their hand up and going, "Hey, I might be interested. I'm not sure, but I might be. I'm gonna maybe browse a little bit."
Mhm. Exactly. And that is essentially the list. The list is browsing. They're hanging out, they're checking it out. But what we need to do is, once again, as you said, and the title of this talk is, we got to turn them into a lead. We actually have to get them that they're wanting to check out, well, what's going to be on the barbecue? Can I bring anything to the barbecue? What's important to me about the barbecue? And so that's when we get into the next phase, which is actually an intimacy phase.
Mm. And
And
intimacy is I mean, I think this is probably where we want to really start delving into, what they want. What
Mhm,
is it that that customer wants from us? Because I think what's really important there is that it's not about us, it's about
mhm.
them.
Yep. Exactly, because the impact, us as experts, we see the impact, we see the end result, but the people that haven't been through that same experience yet, they have a whole different set of questions that they're coming with. And that's the mindset we have to have and be intimate around. What is that desired result that they see from the vantage point of not yet being an expert, and what you have to share with them? And that's the amazing impact opportunity that you have.
And so this would, if we were to take it to the world of thought leadership and sort of some of the work that many of us are doing, where we might have courses or we might have programs, this is really looking at the outcomes of those things. So yes, the programs themselves are amazing, the training is amazing, but it comes back to, as you said, the WIFM, the what's in it for me. And that's where we really need to be able to show that transformation for those hand raisers who are kind of browsing around. They need to know that there's something of value for them. And I think that idea of intimacy is really important because everybody wants to be seen and heard. And there's something really powerful when somebody reads, something that you've put, whether it be on your website or even in a live, and that person feels like, "Oh, you get me. You
Mhm.
understand me."
Yes. And it's one of the phrases I like to say is, this is the opportunity to get it all out on the table. Because when people feel like they're being seen or heard, it's because they're able to actually have a chance to share what is important to them, and you're able to mirror that back to them. They understand that you could have a solution for them because you're in a place where you're speaking the language they're speaking. You're pointing them towards a desired result that they're seeking. And so that place of really being at the table together and getting it all out is really that intimacy phase.
Yeah, that's powerful. And I think it's one of the things that so many marketers tend to miss because it's easy to move from a hand raiser right into trying to move that customer into a sale or into some sort of a next step without actually getting to know them a little bit. And I think that's what you're really talking about is that intimacy phase is it's a bit of a nurturing of who
Mhm.
are you and what do you want?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And that brings us then to another I. We're not yet, we're still not at the sale yet. We still got another step before we can do that. And that is the third I, which is initiation. And this is the aha moment. This is the
Mm.
moment of we know we're going to have we know what we're offering them is a much larger transformation down the road because that's the whole program, that's the whole course, that's the whole experience. But there needs to be this moment within that intimacy place where they have an aha. They do have this place of something within them shifts.
Mm.
In fact, one of the things I love is I've been studying the emotion of awe and the scientists that are studying it right now. And one of the things that I love is awe. When you have that sense of aha, it requires something that is perceived as vast. And that in order to take
Mm.
it in, you actually have to change who you are.
Oh, that's so powerful.
Yeah.
That's so powerful. And so one of the things that, having been a marketer for a large part of my career, and people would say, "Oh, what you do is manipulation, right? You manipulate people." And I mean, I never agreed with that, and I always took it as a little bit of an insult because as marketers, I think our biggest our most our most valuable approach is authenticity, and we're not trying to sell things to people that they don't need. What we're trying to do is offer what is needed that people may not be aware is out there for them. And so this idea of awe, of the aha moment, of that vastness, there is something so incredible. It's an epiphany is really what that is. It's that moment where I didn't know something and now I know something. And now that I know it, I can't unknow it. And I can't
Mhm.
remember a time when I didn't know it. But in this moment, I know this thing and it has changed everything. And as marketers, when we can achieve that, that is powerful. And there is nothing manipulative about that. That
Mhm.
is true. That is a true desire to serve, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. It is that first step of impact, and that's actually through when we think about the sales process, we actually could look at it as a gift, because if you're able to listen and hear people where they're at and then give them this moment of change, to re-examine who they are, or re-examine the problem that they're looking at, like, that's a gift. And then
Absolutely.
that's when we actually get to the sale, is because that's when it's like, okay, if this really did help you, if this really did create this change within you, think how much more we could do if we continue to work together.
Right. Yeah. I was actually working with a group yesterday. I did a talk last week with a group called TechSoup, which is an organization that focuses on technology within the not-for-profit sector. So the tech sort of technologists,
Mhm.
and then yesterday I did the talk last week, and yesterday was an office hours session where I got to work more one-on-one with many of them, and in we had exactly that. It was such a powerful moment because I was helping them to define their core thought leadership, their core
Mhm.
ideas. And so for so many of them, even though they may have a clear idea of what their charity or not for profit serves, what they didn't have was the idea itself clearly articulated.
Mhm.
And so that aha moment was so incredibly powerful for them. Now, it was a little different than a marketing moment, but in many cases, that's exactly what that turns into,
Yep.
even though we were doing work.
Yep. Yep. It is like I said, we can look at this process as a gift. We can look at this process as education. We can look at this process in a lot of different ways that really understand sales as service.
Yeah, and that's what it is. We
Yeah.
are serving when we are selling because it is helping people to grow beyond where they are. It's what we said at the beginning. If
Mhm.
if I you cannot make impact if no one knows you exist, and you can't create awareness without having the income to,
Mhm.
in some way,
Mhm.
drive that, and it is a reality of the world we live in.
Yep. Yep. And so, we've been talking around it. And so let's officially label it the I that it is, which is investment. At a certain point, you have to make the ask, and the
Mhm.
other person has to decide, okay, I've now experienced this, and now I'm stepping into this. Because not only is it an investment of money, that's actually the easy part. Strangely enough, it is the investment of time. It's the
Mm.
investment of energy. It's the investment of self identity.
Yes. Who am I? Who am I now, and who will I be on the other side of this? And am I able to commit to being that new person? Do I want to be that new person? Because every time we move through some form of training or learning or new understanding, we do transform as humans.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. And so it is this journey of helping, painting that picture of that self in, if your program is a year long, what does it look like in a year from now? If it is 3 months, and you can definitely do high ticket sales that are 3 months, especially for people that need more instantaneous results, or there's a certain thing that has, huge lever, or huge, yeah, huge. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Full
yeah.
lever.
Yeah.
Uh, and so high ticket sales can look like a lot of things, and it really becomes that moment of, we've done the invitation, they've raised their hand, we've had that intimacy, we really understand what's in it for them, and getting it on the table, that initiation of the education, the gift, that slight little new change of who they are, and that then we get to the investment of time, energy, money, and self-identity.
And that is, that of course leads us, I think, to what your next I would be.
Exactly, which is impact. And I know that you and I have this in common for sure. I know it's part of your eyes, that we
Yes, it
talked
is.
about, which was a lot of fun. And it is that idea of, more people get more help,
Mhm.
and whenever we, like, one of the big projects I work on has to do with our relationship with the earth. And I thought for a really long time around all these things that have to do with the climate. For me, what's really at the core of it is not LED lights and bringing your bag to the grocery store. It's actually how we have a relationship with nature and with ourselves and with each other, and realizing that they're all actually the same thing because we are nature.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We
Yeah,
are organic just as the planet is organic, and when we recognize that there is an intrinsic link between our human selves, our human biological bodies, and the very earth we walk on, we look at that earth differently.
exactly. And if I can get more people to relook at that, compared to like what enlightenment kind of changed us as separate, or several other kind of movements throughout human history that separated us, I think I can truly make that impact. And whatever
Mm,
you out there in the world right now listening to this, that impact that can make a major shift in this world, you need people to do it with you. You need a community of
that's
people
it.
to do it with you. And that's
You
the
know I mean, I talk about impact a lot because it is such an important part of both who I am and why I built the company that I have. And I come back to it again and again, which is, the impact that I think thought leaders can have, and specifically diverse thought leaders,
Mhm,
because when we look at the future that we're creating together, and what you were just talking about is exactly that. When we look at the way in which we interact with each other, the things we do, the way we support each other, the way that we, in some way, learn from each other, what we're actually doing is creating a future together. And we're not just creating a future that has been determined and visioned by somebody else. We're actually contributing to that vision. And
mhm,
so what I talk so much about, and I truly believe this, is that when we have a diversity of thought leadership, what we're actually doing is creating a sustainable future that is representative of all of those who
mm,
are going to be living within it. Because right now, we don't have that. Our present today has been built by the thought leaders who we see out there in the world. And the reality is, I think we can all agree, they're not exactly diverse.
right.
But when we move away from this thinking that thought leadership is a thing, and we recognize that actually what it is a mindset, and it's
Mm,
how we show up every day,
yes.
then the impact that we have changes because our voice, we show up with a stronger voice. And this is when I look at your five eyes, I think this is what's so important because, whether our listeners are coaches or
Mhm.
product salespeople or have services of whatever in whatever manner. The reality is we all are selling because we believe that there's a transformation that whatever it is we're putting out into the world, it will contribute to, whether it's directly through some form of a coaching service or indirectly through products that help us to see the world differently or that are more gentle on our world.
Yeah,
And so it's important that we recognize that this is a bigger conversation. It's not just marketing. This is actually how we each are coming together and contributing to each other and supporting these businesses that we're growing so that we create the future we want.
exactly. Yeah. There's actually an economic term that I love to use when we're talking about this, which is the network effect.
Hmm.
The more a service or a product is available, the more the desire for it. And so it creates this amazing growing, we often talk about
Snowball effect.
snowball as a big thing, but I'm going to
Yeah.
use it as a good thing right now.
Yeah.
Is or that ripple effect we could talk about that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the benefit also for the thought leader is that once people start hearing about it and more people, they start going, oh, I could talk to so and so about this thing.
Hmm.
And it's such an important piece in that impact too, is that once you get that community growing, then those ecosystems start building around the larger desire for it. It's kind of like, it's also when we talk about, we have the layers of first adopters and then the followers, and then we get the mass group, and then we have the people that finally give in at the end and go, I guess this is the way it is. It's that.
I'm going to come back to our early conversation around that mid funnel congestion. And so,
Yes.
if I look at your five eyes, where do you think that congestion is? And how does somebody diagnose where it is and what to do?
Yeah, that's a great question. And oftentimes when I'm working with partners, they have a set sequence of protocols that they're doing, and it's working. There's people are raising their hand, they are saying yes. There is a funnel that is happening, but it's not yet to the degree that is desired for whatever reason, whether that's impact or financial or all of the above. And so where this place goes is once those procedures are done, once you're like, oh, what do I do next? This can come in and attach to that, and can be this system that really dives into more specifics. That's kind of where the intimacy comes in. You
Mhm.
get specific with the hand raise, and you really fine tune that one, and then you have a series of conversations along that discussion point. And so it is a place that is not necessarily meant to completely replace what you're doing. In fact, I would encourage you not to, but use what is working, because there's clearly a success story there. But then it becomes this piece that really allows you to get really specific with people, on a scale. I'm able to talk to 100 people a day with this type of system. Because it's not sales calls where you
Right.
max out at 8 and maybe people don't show up, and there's all the challenges that go into that. Through this system, I'm actually able to have intimate conversations with up to 100 people a day. And so, to directly answer that question, it really is keep the system you have. Hopefully that's a big, like, whew, feel that feels good. But then it becomes this thing that allows for more specificity to happen after that.
Okay, so I'm just going to sort of say that back to you. So it sounds like, look at your funnel, determine what's actually working.
Yep.
Where do you have some success? Um, and then identify where there seems to be some congestion. Where is it slowing down? Where is it not actually working? And then it sounds like what you're saying is it's at that point. So maybe it's between the intimacy and the initiation, or maybe it's between
Mhm.
initiation and investment. So if you take those 5 I's and overlay them onto your own funnel and you start to see, like I said, what's working, it'll help you to identify the place where maybe you've ignored, because maybe you're going right from the intimacy. Oh, we've told them what's in it for them, and you're trying to close them, trying to go to investment, and you're missing initiation. You're
Mm,
not giving them an aha moment. That could be the problem.
I
So
love
it could be as simple as taking the initiation one and saying, okay, we need to create that epiphany moment. How do we do that? What could it look like? What is that moment? Maybe we go out and talk to our customers at that point and go,
Mhm.
what was it that
Yeah.
really gave you that moment of, I need this? And
Mm,
finding out, having those conversations so that you can then play that back into your marketing efforts and start to unclog that funnel, see it moving a little bit more smoothly so that more customers are being served.
yeah. Yeah, that's perfectly said. Yes, thank you for that wonderful reflection. Mhm.
Um, Amber, we're almost out of time. Is there anything you want to share before we sign off, or would you like to? And not or. How can my guests today keep in touch with you and learn a little bit more about this incredible system that you've created?
Thank you so much for that question. I would say the best place to find me is on LinkedIn, and Amber Peoples is my full name. I actually love my name. My parents did that so right. So to find me there, send me a message, send a connection request. Let's chat more about this. And then if you want to learn more about seeing how I do this in the realm within what I call Earth Relationship, that's the website you can go to, which is earthrelationship.com.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And for those watching today who do follow me, thank you again. And we have actually opened an intake into our Thought Leader Academy. And I know that we have an open cart right now. So, yes, learn a little bit more about what we're doing. Let's have a conversation. You may not know anything about it, so I'm not going to jump into the mid funnel with you, as Amber and I've been talking about, but would love to invite you to raise your hand and let us know if this is something that you're interested in. If you do want to sign up, we do have a special today, which is a 7-day access for just $1. And I think the URL is on the screen for you. What that will give you is access to a coaching session. We do weekly expert-led group coaching sessions every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. This week, it is today and it right now, actually. So if you were to sign up today, you'd be able to join next week's, unless you signed up in the second, and you might be able to jump in, but it probably is a little short notice. But next week, I'm actually going to be coaching on your key idea and your core message. So that's always a powerful one, because it's exactly what I was saying I was doing yesterday with Tech Soup. And it's such a powerful aha moment, because suddenly we're really looking at the value that you bring to your customers and what it is you believe and the impact you want to make in the world. And as a coach, this is one of my favorite things to do. So love to meet you. It's very little risk, $1 for a week. And if you like it, you can stay on. The week after that, we also have Marusha Murphy, who is an absolute master at community building, and she's going to be helping you in creating engagement within your thought leadership community. So it picks up on what we're talking about today and actually enhances it through the lens of community. So we would love to see you at the Thought Leader Academy. Make sure that you follow Amber on LinkedIn and visit her website, because I think there's so many interesting things there for all of us to learn. Thank you again for being with us today. And I hope to see you all soon. Make sure you sign up for my newsletter and follow me on LinkedIn as well.
Thank you so much, everyone.